I'm someone who hasn't watched the new F1 movie, but somehow Brad Pitt is in F1 25 and you can play as him in career mode. So like my other videos, I thought let's play as Brad Pitt for 3 seasons in career mode, and according to his stats, he's a decent driver, faster than Carlos Sainz, but has never won a championship. So let's try and make him a world champion, starting with this terrible car. Now, Sonny Hayes' first weekend in Formula 1 was pretty mid, a pretty good qualifying to start P10, but then 2 mistakes in the race to, well, finish in 18th, but still beating our teammate, who I guess is the young upcoming talent trying to take our position. The next couple of races were also pretty poor for us and the team. The car was still pretty trash after a few upgrades, and we haven't even scored a point yet. Don't even remind me of the Imola weekend. But some good news, we did get a contract offer for our efforts, but it was from Racing Bulls, so no thank you. Let's hope this car can do any better later into the season. As we got to the halfway point in season 1, we did actually manage to score our first points at Austria in getting a 7th place. Our teammate was starting to match us somewhat in the rivalry. It was very much needed to get our name out there into the paddock, because this team is terrible and I can't stay here much longer fighting for basically 15th place. But as we got to the end of season 1, nothing much really happened in the second half and not even scoring a point. Joshua Pierce did start to beat us quite a bit as well, but I had no motivation to stay with his team, and that is why for most of the season I was in talks with Haas. It's an American driver, so why not an American team? It's not the best move if we want to get a world championship within the next couple of seasons, but it's another possibility to show our skills more in the sport. The end of season 1, we were the only driver to score points for the team, finishing 14th overall and 10th in the constructors. Max won the championship and McLaren eventually won the constructors. And of course, for season 2 we did join Haas, and it turned out to be an okay move as we had a regulation change and was still higher than our old team in development. But who replaced us at Apex was Paul Aaron. We replaced Ollie Behrman, who joined Aston Martin alongside Colin Pinto, in which Stroll left to join Alpine. But our aim for this season is to score a lot of points, because if we are going to win a world championship, we either have to get a top team to sign us or we have to try bring Haas to the front. Either way, it's going to be extremely difficult to do within 2 seasons. The start of the season went rather decent, with claiming a load of points at Australia, just beating our teammate, then another close battle with Ocon at China, but finishing 1 place lower there, but it showed lots of promise for our career with Haas. As the first few races went on, we continued with decent form and scoring more points, however struggled to keep up with Ocon. He often had the better pace over us and was something we needed to work on for the future if we are to lead this team to a potential world championship. Just after the halfway point, we actually managed to score our first podium at Austria in the wet, after getting a bit fortunate in qualifying to move from P4 to start P3, and a great race to challenge Norris for 2nd, but ultimately finish in 3rd. This put us above Ocon in the standings, and we beat him at the next race after that to carry the momentum forward. But coming later into the season, the rivalry between Brad and Ocon started to get even more heated, and possibly a bit of jealousy from Ocon due to our recent success over him. After a good start to the Mexican Grand Prix, but one of the most outrageous moves I've ever seen, as Ocon sent it up the inside of us when there was no inside to be had. He wiped out his front wing and damaged our floor. Thankfully, we managed to salvage some good points after the massive hold up after that crash, but Ocon did finish in last. I now understand why there were so many problems at Racing Point back in the day with Perez, and also Alpine with Gasly. In the end, we finished off the season on a high, scoring more points once again, in which I would say was a pretty standout year for us. Throughout the season, which I didn't mention, we were in talks with Ferrari for a lot of it, but thinking harder about it, I think I would just rather stay with Haas for the final season. The car developed well, we were scoring regular points, so I feel this would be a great chance of a title for next year if all goes well. In the end, Lando Norris won the World Championship, McLaren won the Constructors, and Haas finished in 5th. We ended up finishing 8th and above Ocon this season, more importantly. For our final season, and it started with some sad news of, unfortunately, Ocon leaving the team for Red Bull. I think the rivalry really got to his head and he had to try beat us somewhere. He replaced Tsunoda, who then moved to Ferrari to replace the retiring Hamilton. Zane Maloney was then our teammate for season 3. There was also some other not so good news on the car front, as the team didn't improve from last year in development. However, the overall field was a lot closer, so there is still a lot of possibility to jump top a few teams. But as the season started, it was surprisingly good for us as we achieved 4th at the first race, then later our 2nd podium at the next race. This put us only 4th in the standings, 6 points off Max. Unfortunately, we were only 4th in the Constructors because Zane Maloney was having a pretty torrid year. As the season went on, we were very consistent, scoring points every race so far. However, the car wasn't really good enough to win yet. We were just waiting for that one big upgrade to really push us forward and give us a large push for the championship. At the same time, Zane was really struggling in the sport and not helping the team go forward in scoring any points. We also saw Ocon get a win for the first time at Red Bull after he saw us above him in the championship. If we don't win the title this year, I want to at least beat Ocon in the championship. But we eventually got to the end of the final season, and unfortunately the car didn't develop much further, but we continued to score the odd good points. In the end, we didn't win the championship, but what can you expect? We are driving as Brad Pitt at Haas, but we at least beat Ocon in the end, which will satisfy me, and we dominated Zane Maloney, which is quite the achievement. Charles Leclerc eventually won the drivers, Ferrari won the constructors, Haas actually fell backwards into 6th, and we finished 9th overall in what I would say is a career I would kind of expect from Brad Pitt.